Hello, everybody. Super Duper Boy here, and today I'm doing a kind of sort of review of Avengers Endgame, but I just haven't really had an opportunity to talk about it, and I'm busy with other videos. So I'm finally gonna just talk about it and do my thoughts, say my thoughts about the movie. So this movie is absolutely like bananas. So much stuff happens in it, but it somehow all kind of works. It's like there's a lot of different little plot lines, but they all work and fit in really well. Now each character is pretty good in this one. A lot of people don't like the Professor Hulk character. I think he's fine. I mean, like, it would have been cooler if he hulked out at the end. And then there's also Fat Thor, which kind of makes sense. Fat, like, after all that hell he's been through, I'm actually fine with that twist. It kind of works, and he's still fighting at the end, which is pretty awesome. But yeah, this movie is like completely crazy, and you are completely sucked into the movie while watching it. You're super invested into these characters. And I think this movie handled Black Widow better than any other MCU movie. Like, she was one of the most interesting characters, as she still had faith on bringing everybody back, and of course, her death, which is kind of sad. Also, yeah, spoilers. I said that in the title. Forgot to say in the video, so oopsie doopsie. Hopefully, you noticed that in the spoiler warning in the title. Most people have seen it though, because it's been out for like a month. But this movie, a lot of people say Infinity War was really fast paced, and that is true. This movie takes it a lot slower, and so some people complain that some scenes were stretched out or didn't really need to be there. But honestly, I kind of like it. It kind of works. It's just like you just get a feel for this world, and especially there's a lot of scenes where you can tell how much of an effect the decimation or the snapping has had on people, especially when Ant-Man comes back. I love how it was a rap, by the way. That was kind of a cool way to bring him back. It's just something nobody expected. But yeah, you really get to see how it affected everybody and all of that. So yeah, the first act is pretty sad and pretty slow, but we get some good slow character moments. And then the second act, that's where it goes completely bonkers with all the time heisting stuff. And the time travel is something you just kind of have to go with in this movie. Like Tony Stark is like, "Ooh, I just got time travel." So you just kind of have to go with it. But for what it is, it kind of works. The time travel, it's better than time travel in a lot of movies. It kind of makes sense, obeying its own laws. There's a few moments where it's kind of like, maybe that doesn't really make much sense. But for the most part, it's pretty cool. There's a lot of cool moments. Like when they go back to New York, it's like one of those really exciting moments when they just like go through their past. One of my favorite scenes is the brainstorming scene before the time heist, where they're trying to figure out all the stones are. And it's just cool how they're like talking about their history and stuff. As a movie on its own, it doesn't really work. It's okay as a movie on its own, but when you combine it with the rest of the MCU, it's perfect. Because like I love how in the 2012 stuff there's cameos from like Alexander Pierce and Crossbones. I'm not sure what his real life name is, but a lot of the characters from Winter Soldier, it's just those little things that make it really good. And like Tony Stark with his dad, all those awesome scenes. The movie really just did justice for all the characters. Even War Machine, like War Machine actually had a pretty large role going with Nebula and doing all that stuff. So there's one character I haven't talked about. Actually, there's a few characters I haven't talked about. But Thanos in this movie is not as good as Infinity War. I'll just say that. He is not as good as Infinity War, but as he was in Infinity War, but I'm actually completely fine with that because this is the Avengers movie, and Infinity War was completely Thanos' movie. He was basically the protagonist of that movie, if you like it or not. And this one, it was more of the Avengers and their struggle to bring everybody back. I really like how it wasn't easy just to reverse the snap. It was a challenge, and it was an adventure I was really invested with. I haven't seen all the MCU movies yet. I've seen most of them, but especially back in April when I saw it, I had only seen like half of them, but I was still super invested in these characters. All of them are good. Captain Marvel was good. She wasn't there that much, but when she was there, it was perfectly fine. It was pretty cool when she blew up that ship, even though it felt a little too easy. And Thanos was like, "My ship." Now, I guess that leads me into talking about this movie's third act, this movie's final battle, which is actually insane. Like, it's a little messy with the CGI, but it is so cool. Just like is such an epic moment. There's so many epic moments with these fights and fighting Thanos. Like, it's insane when Captain America is with Mjolnir and like the hammer and just beating up Thanos. That's just one of those awesome moments that everyone likes. And he did these crazy moves. Like Captain America was awesome in this movie, and I think how he went back in time and lived out his life is literally the perfect ending for him. They couldn't have done it any other way. And he wasn't really in Infinity War that much, it was a little disappointing, but in this movie, he's like the main character with Tony Stark and Thor. He's awesome in this movie, and when he wields Thor's hammer, that's just absolutely insane. So, some stuff you expected happens in this movie, but not really. It's like, this movie does expectation subversion correctly. It completely subverts your expectations. Like, in the first, 15 minutes, Thanos dies, right? And all this absolutely crazy stuff in the 5-year time jump. It really works well because it makes you even more interested in what's going to happen next because you have no clue because it's all completely random. The story was a little bit hard to follow. I just found this towards the beginning of the third act before the final battle. It was a little confusing, how exactly does this time travel work, and how did I don't know. I don't understand how past Nebula was able to get back to the future Nebula. Maybe she possessed her or something. It got a little confusing. I understand a little better now, but when they brought Thanos, 2014 Thanos, into the present, it was a little hard to follow. It wasn't too hard though. I like how they made it 2014 Thanos. They just kind of no one expected that. That was something really interesting and kind of crazy. Now, one more thing I want to talk about is, the comedy in this movie. There's complaints that the comedy kind of ruined the sad tone, but at the same time, not really, because in the first 15 minutes or so, only 20 days, 3 weeks after the snap, I don't think there were a single joke. It was super serious. But then after the 5-year time jump, everybody's still sad, but it's been 5 years, so it makes sense why they're joking around to uplift each other and all that stuff. So it wasn't really annoying, and some of the jokes were pretty funny. My favorite was the "Is he asleep?" when Black Widow was talking to Thor. This movie just does everything perfectly. I think it ends all the characters perfectly as well. The way Iron Man dies, that was great. It was also really sad. They did a good job at making that super, super sad. What else is there to talk about? The 2014 scene on Morag with Peter Quill dancing, that was fun. I like that. And there's a bunch of callbacks. This movie is filled to the brim with callbacks to the past. They got a little bit, okay, just make some new dialogue, stop quoting the past. But, I like some of them. Some of them, I'm sure not everybody catched, when Spider-Man activated instant kill mode. In Spider-Man Homecoming, Karen, I think that's the name or something of his robot in his head. She was like, "Do you want to activate instant kill mode?" And Peter was said no. But now he did it in this movie. It's just that's what makes this movie so much fun. It's just how it's hey, it's you just get that reference. You understand these references to the past, and sometimes they do it differently. With Captain America on the elevator back in 2012, and he's just Hail Hydra. That was pretty cool. That was pretty slick. Captain America versus Captain America. Who saw that coming? No one saw that coming, but it happened, and it was awesome. I do think one thing I'm a little I don't really like is, I know Bucky was gone the entire movie, but I feel just Captain America, Steve Rogers and Bucky, they just hugged and they're okay, and then Steve is bye. And I wish they would have had they don't really show their friendship very well. It's just a hug and that's it. And then they quoted something from Captain America's First Avenger, but that's not too bad. Who really cares? Because this movie has a bunch of perfect stuff. It does a really good job at ending the MCU, but also starting the next phases, because it prepares for a bunch of new stuff with Spider-Man and Captain Marvel, and a bunch of little Easter eggs to potential future things. But it also wraps everything else up really well. I like Tony Stark's daughter. That was something no one saw coming. I don't even know if she's in the comics. I don't know much about the comics, so she might be there. But yeah, I like that. Literally, like things like that. Just so many great things that no one expected, but they're really cool. They're really awesome. And if you've seen the movie, you all know this. So I think I've said my thoughts on it. Most things are good. I like things that even people didn't like Professor Hulk. I don't know, I kind of liked him. He was kind of funny. Unfortunately, he didn't Hulk out though, and didn't have a bigger reaction to Natasha's death. But yeah, that is pretty much my thoughts on Avengers Endgame. Hopefully you've watched the movie because I just spoiled everything. Yeah, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you next time. My next review will be on Godzilla Aftershock. I know this is a very awkward time to do an Endgame review. It took me so long to like figure out what to say about it and all of that. Okay, so peace out.